welcome back to the All Purpose Pod for an All Purpose Life, wherever you are and however you're listening to. They call me Mista Yu in the Inspiration Station. Thanks for making us part of your week. I want to talk to you guys today about, I think it's a relevant topic. I try to keep that in front of us at all times on every episode. But you probably can find some of the concepts in self-help books all around the world. But there's a really big difference between maximizing your strengths and minimizing your weaknesses. Like I said, a lot of business and self-help books talk about this kind of stuff all the time. For me, it feels like in today's time, we pretend that we don't have any weaknesses. Now, I'm not saying that we should embrace the fact that those weaknesses are there, but I think we should to a degree, but we can't linger. We can't play with it. We can't tempt ourselves and allow us to be overcome by those things that we know are weak points in our life. There's a larger discussion about having community around us, accountability partnerships. Those are things that we talk about on the show periodically. I'm sure we'll get there again. But, it feels like there's a search for relevance from outside sources a lot more now than ever. And, people are like reliant on the things that they do best, and it becomes a source of pride. Think about Samson from the scriptures. His hair became a source of pride, where he felt as though he walked in a certain ability and power. And when he didn't have that hair anymore, he lost his power and even to some degree his identity. And it crippled him and it cost him his life. If you look at the Incredible Hulk from the comic books, he had unresolved anger issues that stem from bullying, being mistreated in the world. And he had unresolved anger issues, and it played a part in his transformation, if you will, from Bruce Banner into the Incredible Hulk. The great great fictional detective, Sherlock Holmes, had issues with self-righteousness. He was smart. He was considered of a genius magnitude, but he had issue with self-righteousness. He thought that his way was always the right way because he was so intelligent, far above the average person. He felt like his way was the best way in every situation, and it cost him dearly in several accounts. In today's times, it feels as though if we cut off what matters, we feel like we won't be strong or relevant anymore. And that is what's causing, I believe, the chase, where people are going after the desire to be relevant, but they go into all the wrong places to do so. I really believe we should maximize the purpose of what we do best. I don't have a problem with that. We should maximize the integrity of those things. Do what you are skilled in, what you're competent in, and do it well. But I believe there's also room to learn new skills, take advantage of opportunities to grow yourself personally. All those examples that I gave earlier, a lot of those individuals, if not all of them, didn't ever take the steps to grow personally. They relied on what they knew. They relied on who they were purported to be, who they were told they were supposed to be. For me, and I think the Samson example is really, really relevant, because when his hair was cut, he lost the sense of who he was, and he was disconnected from who he was supposed to be. He was disconnected from purpose when he allowed the power and the direction he was supposed to be going in to, cloud his judgment, as opposed to recognizing the purpose that he is supposed to walk in and walk through it. We all have strengths. We all have weaknesses. I think the challenge here is recognizing that even though we have weaknesses, that we don't have to ignore it and pretend that we don't have those. I see all the time, especially in community and social media, people pretend that nothing's wrong. They pretend that there's no problems. They have no weaknesses. They're doing great. Everything is fine. I'm strong all the time. But behind closed doors, I'm sure that's not true. It's what they show us publicly, not what's happening privately. But even though I'm advocating that we acknowledge that we have weaknesses and deal with those. Sometimes my old mentor just tells us all the time that we should staff our weaknesses. If we know we don't do something well, have somebody help us with those areas so that we don't have to put ourselves in a situation where we're kind of playing with the weaknesses and put ourselves in a spot where we tempt ourselves or even endanger ourselves in some way. So I'm talking about life skill stuff here today because I don't think we do that enough. I don't think we take advantage of those opportunities to grow ourselves personally. And what we find ourselves doing, we run into these brick walls and then we find ourselves defeated in every area of our life. And of course, that should never be the goal. It should never be what we're going after. Think about another comic book superhero, Superman. Everybody who, whether you follow those for years with the cartoons, the comic books or not, you know, in the movies, you know that kryptonite was his weakness. Everybody from his planet had an aversion to a mineral called kryptonite. It would sap their power and render them weak and defenseless, even though they had superhuman abilities naturally. But kryptonite would sap them of those abilities and almost put them into a physical prison, a physical and emotional prison, where they couldn't function in the capacity that they were supposed to be functioning in. And I ask you today, what is your kryptonite? What is the thing in your life that you know this is your weakness? I don't need to get around it. I don't need to play around with it and tap dance around it or hang around in the vicinity of it. I know that is not a good place for me. It's not a safe space for me. It could be a dangerous, detrimental place for me. What is your kryptonite? I challenge you guys to locate that. Deal with it. I'm not saying avoid your problems or avoid what's going on in your life. I'm not saying avoid opportunities for deep healing and for emotional stability. I'm not saying that, but identify it. I think that's what we don't do. We don't identify what the area is, what the problem is. I mentioned Sherlock Holmes earlier. Self-righteousness was not on his agenda. Excuse me. He didn't even understand that was a problem until it was very, very, very late. And it cost him dearly because he didn't realize that was a problem. We need to identify that stuff a lot earlier than when we're already in the thick of the issue and it's already kind of too late. And now we have to try to dig ourselves out of a really deep hole that we dug ourselves into. What is your kryptonite? What's the thing that you know that if you don't deal with it, it could overcome you? What's the thing that you know that's been simmering and lingering in the background of your life? And it, for some reason, it always pops up when you're about to step into a new level of victory or a new level of success. And it pops up and undoes all of your work. We've seen this laid out in arts and cinema all the time. People want to try to get out of neighborhoods and bad living situations and family dynamics. And as soon as they try to get to the place where they're about to arise, get out of town and move on to a different life, marry and have children, and just have a different lifestyle, something from their past creeps up and pulls them back into the world they try so hard to get away from. What is your kryptonite? What is the issue that you know can cause you challenges? We all have things that hit harder than others. I just want to encourage you guys here, love harder, learn how to live well, serve vigorously, shine brighter. This might sound easier said than done. You can put it on a t-shirt or a coffee mug, but these are standards to live by in life. And one last thing, this is really big. Trust someone that has defeated what you still battle with. Catch that. Trust somebody that has defeated what you're still battling with. Trust somebody that's identified the enemy that you haven't seen yet. Trust someone that's identified the enemy that you haven't been able to visualize and see it and identify yet. And lastly, trust somebody who's been where you have yet to journey. Trust somebody who's been where you have yet to journey. This is a deeper topic than we have time for. We'll do more when we get into this a lot more. But at the end of the day, if nothing else is understood from this, I really hope you get that we need community. We need people who understand that they have a place in our life where they are dealing with and covering areas that we're not the strongest at, and we're relying on them for support, and we can't do it on our own. We should recognize that from this episode today and nothing else. We need each other. We have issues and we have challenges that can be considered kryptonite to us. We need folks to let us know, keep us accountable, let us know, you know what, we're not alone. We don't have to try to be strong in the public eye. We recognize that we have a need for each other. And I hope this encourages community. I hope this is a blessing to you. We'll have more episodes like this, discussing this kind of topic. We'll get into some more, I promise you that. But wherever you are listening and however you're listening to They Call Me Mr. Yu and the Inspiration Station, thanks again for making us a part of your week. We love and appreciate all of you guys, and we hope this is a blessing. Enjoy future episodes like this and the ones that are already on our YouTube channel and on Apple Podcasts and wherever you're listening to our show. Have a great day. Thanks again for listening. We're out.